Hello, it's T-shirts or T-sHz or however you pronounce it. And in this video, if the title is, best describes it really, I'll be unveiling 30 random holos I got on eBay. eBay's pretty good when it comes to obtaining a whole bunch of random cards. So yeah, that's the easiest way to build up your collection. It's not so great if you're looking for like the chance of getting really good cards, because when people are putting cards and Joblots on eBay, they're usually getting rid of the duplicates they don't want, as well as the cards that aren't really worth anything, to them at least. But hopefully we'll find maybe at least one card that's, worth adding to any collection. In a Joblot a few months ago, I did get a secret rare Ice Master, which was a surprise because that's actually worth a few dollars. But if you're like me and you just like enjoying collecting the cards and building this sort of historical portfolio of Yu-Gi-Oh's entire run from its inception all the way up to now, then eBay's a pretty good choice, especially if you want affordable cards. So yeah, let's just get straight to it after all that waffling. Oh cool, so it comes on like these little pocket things, that's cool. Okay, we might as well just do one and then the other, so let's start with the left side, or right side either way. Let's see what we got. Okay, first off we got Linkuriboh, sort of the more antagonistic version of Linkuriboh, which is a card I don't have. So yeah, that's cool. It's from the MP21 set, so it's from a tin, I assume, because I recognize that number of the card. Cyberse, 1 level 4 lower Cyberse monster, so that's pretty easy to get to play. Okay, bottom left arrow, that's not too bad, at least that's half decent. When your opponent activates a trap card, quick effect, you contribute this card and negate that card's effect, and if you do, banish it. Wow, that's actually a pretty cool effect. If this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you contribute 1 at Ignister monster, that sounds familiar, that was summoned from the extra deck. Special summon this card. You can only use the effect of Linkuriboh once per turn. Now, I can't remember at the top of my head what Linkuriboh does, but this looks like a nice little sort of, kind of like a retrain, I suppose. And it's a super rare, so that's cool. I've heard things about it, and now I've got one, that's cool. I like the artwork as well, it's kind of like angry cute, that's cool. So yeah, it's a great way to destroy a trap card, I guess, and the fact it's quick effect also helps too. Oh cool, I got another one of these. I actually already have one of these. I think I got one in ultra rare, at least. So having a super rare is cool, but I probably won't be adding this to my collection. So yeah, ninja monsters, you can't go wrong. I like the artwork. Good defense monster. Not bad ninja support. Not too bad. Nice little war one. Yeah, it's a good way of getting stuff on the field, really, just by sacrificing a trap, which might not be a huge deal to some decks, I suppose. So yeah, got another one of these. Oh, another ninja, a yellow ninja. I think we're going a little bit more old school in this. Ninjas, for me, don't get me wrong, ninjas are awesome, but a bit of a mixed affair for me. I tried using them and, I don't know, it's something not quite right for me. It's not the deck for me. If this card is normal summon or flip face up, you could special summon one. So yeah, ninjas are a little bit like Six Samurai, where they're good at bringing monsters back onto the field, I suppose, and swarming the field with monsters. Yeah, and the latter part of the fact is a bit awkward because it's not just warrior monsters, it's an actual specific monster with ninja in its name. So yeah, you're going to have to build a deck full of ninja monsters in order to prevent this sort of detriment of not being able to special summon monsters from your extra deck. Super rare though, it looks really cool artwork, I like it. And those are pretty damn good stats for level 4, yeah, so Wind Warrior is interesting as well, so yeah, cool, nice. Wow, I actually don't have this card either. Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo. I believe that's quite a recognizable ninja monster, and it's got a super in it, that's cool. Oh, I forgot to say, I have a feeling that before I opened this pack, I had a feeling that it was going to be mostly super rares, and I wasn't wrong. At the moment, there's only been supers, but can't complain, its supers are very nice and shiny. So yeah, this one's good because it adds a ninjutsu art card from your deck to your hand, so like a spell or a trap. Okay, when it's flip or special summoned, not normal summoned, you can add one ninja from your deck, except for Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo. So yeah, pretty good stats, 1800, 1000 defense, level 4. Dark Warrior, that's a good combination. And being able to add any ninja resource is, especially, well, in this case, it's good for ninja decks, but any card that allows you to add a card from a deck is always going to be very, very good. So yeah, cool. Wow, an upside down card. Phantom Knight Rank Up Magic Launch. Bit of a mouthful. Quick play spell. Yeah, it's definitely a more modern Yu-Gi-Oh card because look at that small text. Okay, 1 Dark Xyz monster, so that's quite a broad pool, that's cool. So it's XYZ support that also, allows you to gain extra materials. The card artwork is pretty cool. I like the flame work, and yeah, I guess I'll have to look more into Phantom Knights because I've heard of them but not really invested into what they actually can do. Circle of the Fire Kings, another quick play spell card. This one is about the fire attribute monsters. Target 1 fire monster you control and 1 fire monster in your graveyard. Destroy that monster you control, and if you do, special summon the other monster from your graveyard. So you're basically getting rid of 1 monster that on your field in exchange for a card in your graveyard, which can be handy in a few circumstances. Like you have a weak monster and you exchange it for a super high level fire monster. I'm sure they exist, even if fire is not the most common of attributes. Cute little artwork. This card is a little bit more, it's seen a bit more action than the other cards I've shown. I don't think I'll be using it much because I'm not really a fire attribute or pyro monster kind of person. Predaplant Terrapenthes, whatever, it's a Predaplant monster. Dark plant, level 3, but with a pretty good defense stat for level 3, so it's a bit of a wall. A better wall than Giant Soldier of Stone, that's for sure. So when this inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, place 1 predator counter on it. They have this counter mechanic, where you place counters on something to activate an effect or something. And if it is a level 2 or higher, it becomes level 1 as long as it has a predator plan. So yeah, it has the ability to modulate a level quite drastically, which can be kind of handy for XYZ summoning. And it's also kind of like a brain control thing going on, because once per turn you could target 1 monster your opponent controls with a level less than or equal to this card to take control of it until the end phase. So you're not going to probably get many good monsters out of this effect. So yeah, another Predaplant, sweet. Phantasos, the Dream Mirror Friend. Level 4, 900 attack, 1900 defense, so it's meant to be playing defense position, I suppose, if you want to make the most out of it. Another super rare. It's a light beast warrior. I'll take your word for it, that's more like just a beast to me. If this card is special summoned by the effect of a Dream Mirror monster, I've never heard of Dream Mirrors, you can target 1 level 8 or lower Dream Mirror monster in your graveyard. Special summon in defense position. During the main battle phase, if Dream Mirror of Terror is in the field zone, okay, so there's yet another card that requires a specific card in the field zone to do something else. Tribute this card, special summon 1 Phantasos, the Dream Mirror Foe from your deck. So I guess it's like a Pikaru kind of thing, where it has a good monster and then an evil version, I suppose, or at least a more evil version of this card. I don't know what Dream Mirror Foe is like, but getting that card from your deck must be advantageous in some way, I suppose. Well, straight to the field by special summoning it. That's a pretty cool effect. Okay, I like the artwork. It's a adorable little creature. And I guess Dream Mirror because mirrors are defensive. That's hence the stat spread. I don't know what I'm talking about. Moving on. Kawaki Meru Wall. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Earth Rock. That makes too much sense because a lot of rock monsters are earth. Level 4, 1900 attack and 1200 defense. Nice stats. And kind of unusual stats. I expected it to be the inverse, like if it had higher defense than attack, but can't complain. 1900 is still a good attack stat for level 4. During each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send 1 Iron Core of Kakimeru from your hand to the graveyard, or reveal 1 rock monster in your hand. I imagine most people are going to choose the latter because unless you have 3 iron cores in your hand, or you at least have 3 iron cores in your deck, at least, yeah, you're going to be doing that and revealing cards from hand, which isn't, I guess, too much of a drawback since it could be the same rock monster and over again. It doesn't say it has to be a different one every time. So it's not much of a downside just to, keep this thing alive, destroy this card if you don't do either of those things. When your opponent activates a spell card, quick effect, you contribute this card and negate the activation if you do destroy the card. Okay, so it's a spell negation, that's pretty cool. Spells are pretty common and, yeah, can knock out some cards that revolve around it, like, spellcaster decks and such. So, okay, Kokimerus have never been that great, as if I recall, because of reliance on Iron Core spell cards and such, but good stats and spell negation, with a minor drawback of revealing a card from your hand or just sending an iron core from your deck to your hand. But as I said, that might be actually positive in some cases, so yeah. Nice card art. Battling Boxer Shadow. Fire Warrior, not too bad I suppose. 1800 attack and 1400 defense is okay stats for level 4, okay. During your main phase, you can detach one XYZ material from a Battling Boxer XYZ monster you control. And if you do, special summon this card from your hand. Yeah, this is going to be odd because I don't know how many cards are required for most Battling Boxer XYZ monsters, which means that if you want to use those XYZ monster effects, it's going to drain the materials if you want to take advantage of this card's effect. Otherwise, it's not really doing much else. In fact, that's its only effect, that you can special summon it if you detach a material from a Battling Boxer XYZ monster that you have on your field. So yeah, if you have an XYZ monster that doesn't have materials for some reason, then unfortunately, this card is just a normal monster. Well, it's cool that you can special summon it, I suppose, with such a simple condition, but requiring an XYZ monster on the field. Otherwise, this does nothing else really. It's a Fire Warrior with 1800 attack, which is fine. Okay. Oh, nice. We got what looks like a secret rare. Abyss Actor Evil Heel. Cool name. It's Pendulum Scale 1, that's really cool. You contribute Abyss Actor monster, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses attack equal to the original attack of the attributed monster. Okay, so if you get rid of a big beast of an Abyss Actor monster, then you could practically make their attack 0 and beat into them and do a lot of life point damage. That's kind of a funky effect, I suppose. Pendulum effect, and that is. Monster effect is slightly different for this Dark Fiend with 3000 attack and 2000 defense for level 8. That's okay, actually. If this card is normal or special summoned, which shouldn't be too hard, you can attack one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 1000 attack for each Abyss Actor monster you currently control until the end of this turn. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can target one Abyss Script spell card in your graveyard to set that card. It would be cool if you could just activate it straight away, but I think that'd be too good, so okay, fair enough. At least you can gain a spell resource and put it straight on the field. That's not too bad. Its attack low in effect probably... I'm not really sure. How easy is it to get Abyss Actors onto the field? Because if that's the case, yeah, I think this is a bit more worthwhile than the Pendulum effect. Because with the Pendulum effect, you have to get rid of resources. It also relies on what monster you tribute. Whilst this one, it doesn't. It's all about what you control on the field, so you don't have to get rid of anything. So this is basically a monster focused on lowering attack. So okay, I quite like the shininess. Wow, that's nice. But yeah, I like this interesting design too. It's like a mask with a gigantic mouth and tattoo on its face. Cool. At least we got something other than a super rare. So yeah. Speaking of something other than a super rare, we got an ultra rare. Performer Pal 5 Rainbow Magician. Ooh, I like Magician, so this should be good, hopefully. Level 1, attack 100, defense 100. Light spellcaster, so I would prefer probably dark spellcaster, but I guess it makes sense with this sort of prismatic theme with this card. Wow, it's got huge pendulum scale. 12. So if you have a 0 or 1, you can pretty much pendulum summon anything, really. That's cool. Oh, hang on, there's a problem. Its pendulum effect is you cannot pendulum summon except from the extra deck. Oh, bit of a bummer, but I guess that explains why it's got pendulum scale. Something to sort of balance out, I suppose. This effect cannot be negated. Oh, bugger. Each player applies one of the effects based on the number of set cards in their spell or trap zones. If there's 0, all monsters they control cannot attack or activate their effects. 4 or more, the attack of all monsters they control become double their original attack. I guess, again, that shouldn't be too hard for, like, you know, the spellbook archetype, I suppose, or something like that rely on spells. And one of my favorite archetypes, Endymions, where, yet again, it's all about spells to gain the best out of that archetype. Okay, what's his monster effect, though? If either player sets a spell or trap card on the field while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can place this card in your pendulum zone. Basically, bring this back from deck to occupy a pendulum slot if you lose your high pendulum scale monster. So an instant pendulum recovery tool. So that's pretty nice as well. You're doing this so you can either give your monsters a gigantic attack boost, which can be kind of handy with some archetypes, or to prevent your opponent from doing anything, because some archetypes don't really use spells, that much. So yeah, polarizing card for me, but I do like the card artwork and it's pretty looking. It's rainbow holofoil sort of effect going on. Limited edition, Fury of Fire. I love that name. Spell card, this is treated as a Salamangreat card, so it's Salamangreat support. Special summon up to 2 Salamangreat monsters with different names from your hand and or graveyard in defense position, but their effects are negated. So you get extra resources by just playing this card. That's really cool. No real downside. Oh, hang on, it does have a downside. Also, for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you can only special summon from your extra deck once. So you can't, really do really long plays and such with this thing. But I guess if you're that desperate, you're gaining 2 monsters with different names straight onto the field in defense. So it's kind of like a bit of a wall, like a mini scapegoat. Or you can use that to play one really big extra deck monster, I guess, if you have one. So okay, that's fine. That's not too bad. Super Heavy Samurai Wagon. Level 4, 1200 attack, 1800 defense. Yeah, that's still fine. Earth Machine, that's pretty good typing. When this card is normal or special summoned, you could change its battle position. This card can attack while in face down defense position. So it's a total defense shogun where it can attack while it's in defense position. That could be kind of handy. And if it does, apply its defense for damage calculation. Okay, so it doesn't use the attack stat, it uses its defense stat. That's much better. If you have no spell trap cards in the graveyard, you can change this face up defense position. Okay, so being able to change its positions that easily is very handy. And the fact it can attack whilst in defense, also pretty cool sort of gimmick that doesn't really appear too often anymore. As said, the only one I can think of at the top of my head is Total Defense Shogun, which I do have as a secret rare. So yeah, if you do to change this from face up defense position to attack position, you can add 1 Super Heavy Samurai Soul monster from your deck to your hand. Yet again, another great sort of resource effect there for its archetype. So yeah, it's an interesting card to say the least. XYZ Import. Quick play spell, target 1 XYZ monster you control and 1 monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it. Attach the opponent's monster to that monster's material. So it's material addition, like say you can regain some materials to activate effects. So there's nothing wrong with that. The fact that the opponent's monster has to have an attack less than or equal to can be a bit awkward because, you've got to play, I guess, a big XYZ monster to just basically do a Big Eye and steal that monster and change it to materials. And whilst Big Eye allows you to control that monster, you're just using it as material. So I guess it doesn't really matter too much whether that monster you steal has a high attack or not. But I think it's usually better if it's a high attack, that way you're disrupting your opponent's play. So yeah, it's an interesting way of regaining material. How effective it really is depends on the monster you're taken from your opponent. So we looked at the left side, let's look at the right side. Okay, we got an Ultra Mausoleum of White, so it's Blue Eye support, I suppose. Looks like it. The Blue Eyes White Dragon is in the top right of the image. It's a field spell card. I like this artwork, it's very nice and shiny. And the whiteness, yep, it's definitely Blue Eye support. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 level 1 light tuner in addition to your normal summoner set. Once per turn, you could target 1 face-up monster you control, send 1 normal monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, the targeted monster gains attack and defense equal to its level of the monster sent to the graveyard times 100. So I guess the point is, if you have like a brick card like a Blue Eyes White Dragon you somehow can't play onto the field, even though with a Blue Eyes deck it shouldn't be too difficult. It's because Blue Eyes has been gaining loads and loads of support over the years. But if for some reason it is a brick in your hand, you could just get rid of it to give give another monster a significant attack boost. By significant, I mean probably not so much. So if you do get rid of a Blue Eyes, you'll probably get between 600 to 800 attack and defense, which is alright, I suppose. It's a field spell, so you can use this effect. It is not a one-time thing. Well, it's once per turn, but it stays on the field, so you can use it once every turn, instead of just it being one-time spell card activation thing. And it's only until the end of this turn, which makes sense. If it didn't, that would be really crazy and just get out of control and stack up. That would be just ludicrous. However, that you get the stats remain even if this somehow leaves the field before the end of that turn. So that's nice. That's nice as well. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one burst stream of destruction from your deck to your hand, just to get this one specific card that I can't remember if it's good or not, but it's a nice little bonus, I suppose, if you really want that specific spell card. But yeah, blue support, cool. Eternal Galaxy. I love it when Yu-Gi-Oh cards have cool names. Limited edition. If you control a Photon or Galaxy monster, target one XYZ monster you control, special summon from your extra deck one Photon or Galaxy XYZ monster that is 4 ranks higher than that target by using that target as material. This is treated as an XYZ summon. Transfer its materials to the summoned monster. Photons love, getting the boss monster field and then just instantly replacing it with another bigger one and stacking up until they have this unbeatable force of a photon monster. But it's kind of annoying how it has to be exactly 4 ranks higher. It doesn't say at least though, so yeah, it's pretty specific. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe photons. This is targeting specific photon XYZ monsters, so it's not a problem. But that also means it's niche. So I like the card artwork though. Really cool name as well. Fateful Hour. Target one monster that cannot be normal summoned or set in either graveyard. Special summon it. Okay, so it's a slower, a little bit more awkward monster reborn. There's a trap you have to set in order before you can play it. So yeah, it's slower than monster reborn. Well, I guess this is at least unlimited, so as opposed to monster reborn, which is, I think, is, as of this video anyway, limited. So this is unlimited, so that it's got that going for it, I suppose. I can't really think of that many monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set. Is it a rare metal dragon that can do that? That promotional movie-based card where it's got good stats for level 4, but it's cannot be normal summoned or set. So that's a target, because everyone's using that rare metal dragon monster from many years ago. But I guess I'm underestimating the pool. Maybe this pool is larger than I think, but yeah, kind of awkward. But I like the card artwork though. Crusadia Maximus. Level 4, Light Psychic. Attack 1600, Defense 1000. Breaker Magical Warrior, stats. Light Psychic. It looks more like a warrior to me, but whatever. You can special summon this card from your hand in defense position in a zone a link monster points to. You can only special summon Crusadia Maximus once per turn this way. You can target one Crusadia Link monster you control. If it battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is doubled. Also, other monsters you control cannot attack. I guess this is not a problem if you only have 1 or 2 monsters on the field, but if you have a field full of them, is it really worth it? I don't know. But yeah, I like the artwork, and Psychic? I guess Crusadians are psychics. Psychic Knights. Cool idea, actually. Yeah. Unacceptable result. Her eyes are massive. That looks kind of like one of those, like images you see on those how to draw manga books. And not in a bad way, it just reminds me of that for some reason. If you control a spellcaster monster, special summon one Fortune Fairy monster from your hand. It's a quick spell, so if you're desperate and you still have a spellcaster monster, one more on your field that has been attacked, you can save yourself by special summoning a monster from your hand. Not from your deck, from your hand. So I guess this is just a sort of desperation move. It's interesting sort of defensive maneuver, I suppose. Mermail Abyss Lead, a level 7, 2700 attack and 1000 defense. Water Sea Serpent. Oh, you don't really see too many sea serpents in Yu-Gi-Oh, do you? Not even in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. You can discard 3 other water monsters to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. Where it's kind of like attributing 3 without the tributes having to be on the field. So I guess that's a nice way of doing it. But getting rid of that many resources, you might be screwing yourself over unless, mermails have some way of getting those resources in your hand back. When summoned this way, you can target 1 Abyss spell trap card in the graveyard, add that target to your hand. Okay, so it's not like a -3, it's more like a -2 in that regard. Okay, that's cool. And I guess if you get an Abyss spell card that can bring more resources back, then problem solved, I suppose. You contribute 1 other attack position mermail monster, send 1 random card from your opponent's hand to your graveyard. Okay, so that's cool. You could do a half of a delinquent duo without the life point cost, and instead you're attributing a mermail monster. So yeah, it's fairly versatile. Sweet. I kind of like this pun. Ram Clowder. Kind of like lamb chowder, I suppose. Level 4, 1800 attack and 1000 defense, which seems to be a common pattern with these level 4 monsters. As I said, like the pun, I also like it's a ram, but it's spelled with capitals, as you know, as in like the memory RAM. That's cool. Light Cybers, an effect monster. That's Cybers. Oh, I guess I'm just used to seeing Cybers monsters being specifically Link monsters. You could tribute one monster, then target one Cybers monster in your graveyard. Special summon it. Okay, so I guess it's a good way of, you know, getting a monster in, a powerful monster, Cybers monster from a graveyard back into the field by tributing another monster, I suppose. And you can only use this once per turn. Well, the effect of Ram Chowder once per turn. So again, you got to just make sure to tribute something pretty weak and then bring in a Cybers monster that's more powerful, otherwise it's not really worth the investment really. Or at least a monster with a better effect. Which I guess isn't too hard, and also I like the artwork, but yeah, pretty cool. Flowerbot, Earth Plant, even though it looks more like a machine, but whatever. 1500 attack is not too bad for level 3, so yeah, it's got that going for it. 800 is also not too bad. If this card is sent to the graveyard, draw one card. Then place one card from your hand on the top of your deck. So you're not really gaining much advantage, because you know, you're drawing a card, but you're also putting one back from your hand to your deck, so you're kind of going hand neutral, really. But I guess, you know, if you're playing Mahad with this thing, like you ever would, you know, cards that benefit from being in your deck, like Gem Knights, I suppose. So yeah, kind of underwhelming, but not bad stats for its level. Yeah, it's alright. But at least, you know, you can get this draw one card effect happens regardless of how it's sent to the graveyard. From your hand, or by destruction or card effect, that's okay, cool, yes. Koaki Melu Overload. Wow, this looks badass. Level 4, Earth Rock, 1900 attack, 1200 defense monster. Good stats for level 4. Earth Rock, that makes a whole ton of sense. During each of the end phases, destroy this card unless... Okay, so the first part of this effect is exactly the same as the previous Koaki Melu monster we talked about, where you either have to get rid of an iron core from your hand or reveal one rock monster in your hand. But I guess if you're playing a Koaki Melu deck, revealing a rock monster isn't too much of a problem. You just reveal the same one over and over again, because it doesn't have to be a different monster every time, which is cool. When your opponent would summon a monster, quick effect, you can tribute this card, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. Yeah, in brackets, there's an S. And also, it's not a once per turn clause, so that's why the brackets S is there. It's a quick effect, and you can use this effect as many times as you want, as long as you can tribute this card, okay? At least it also negates the summon and destroys it. So you just got to find a way to keep bringing this back. So just hope that your opponent doesn't have cards that banish. Cool artwork. Star Seraph Scale. It's a level 4, 1500 attack, 900 defense, light fairy. Light fairy is okay. Fairies are usually light, that's fine. Stats aren't great, but what's its effect? When this card is special summoned, you can special summon one Star Seraph monster from your hand. Cool effect. Then you could place one light monster from your graveyard on top of your deck. An XYZ summon that was summoned using 3 or more monsters, including this card in the field, as XYZ monster gains this effect. Once per turn, while this card has XYZ material, if a monster is special summoned from the hand, immediately draw one card. Okay, so it just sounds like a much worse version of Max C to me. But then again, Max C is forbidden, so you can't exactly play it in the traditional format at least. But at least, instead of like, you know, Max C, at least it's when either player special summons a monster from their hand instead of just your opponent. So I guess it's got that going for it, but I don't know, this just seems too niche for me, or for anyone. Cybers Wizard, which is, believe it or not, Cybers. Light attribute, level 4, 1800 attack and 800 defense. Once per turn, you can target one attack position opponent's monster. Shouldn't it be once per turn you can target one of your opponent's attack position monsters? But I guess all the words are there, they're just not necessarily in right order, for me anyway. Change it to defense position, and if you do, For the rest of this turn, your monster cannot attack, except to attack that monster. And if your Cyberse monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. So it's not a quick effect to change their battle position, but if you do manage to do that, it basically gives the equivalent that the opponent's monster, basically the equivalent of Taunt of Hearthstone, where you have to attack it and can't attack any of the monsters, which is a bit of a nuisance really, especially if your opponent's monster has a decent defense as well, which a lot of boss monsters do as well. So yeah, just hope that you have a high enough a Cyberse monster with a high enough attack to do any piercing damage against that taunt minion, aka defense position monster. Link Bumper. 2 Cyberse monsters, so it shouldn't be too hard. As you've probably seen already, there's quite a few Cyberse monsters in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! 1400 attack is not that great. So once per turn at the end of the damage step, if your monster this card points to attacked the opponent's Link monster, you can activate this effect. The monster that attacked gains 1 additional attack on the opponent's Link monster during the battle phase for each Link monster you currently control except this card. So I guess this is heavily relying on co-linking and creating a long chain of Link monsters in order to be able to be Envoy of the Beginning on steroids. Oh, and even worse is, well, worse than just needing lots of Link monsters to gain the most out of this card's effect. If you do use this card's effect, your monsters except that monster cannot attack the turn you activate this effect. Ooh. And also its arrows aren't great, they're left and up. Okay, yeah, so this one's a bit of an awkward one, I think. Yeah, I like how it's based on pinball though, that's kind of funky as well. Hey look, it's Man-Eater Bugs? It looks like it. Oh, and it's a secret rare, nice. Quite subtle though because of how dark the background is in the artwork. Chain Disappearance. When a monster with 1,000 or less attack is summoned, just like Man-Eater Bug, banish that monster with 1,000 or less attack. Then your opponent banishes all cards with the same name as that card from your hand or deck. Okay, I guess if you summon an Ash Blossom and then force your opponent to get rid of those and banish them and remove them from your hand and deck. So, okay, it can be practical if you're used against low statted but meta-defining effect monsters. In modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It has a bit of potential, but being a trap makes it slow, so I can at least visualize how this can be utilized. So, yeah. Would you know, I got the exact same Total Defense Shogun. Funny enough, I was talking about this card earlier in the video, and now I've got 2 of them from the exact same set, the Collector's Tin. So just like with the previous card I talked about in this video, just like with that card, this one can attack whilst it's in defense position, but instead of using its defense stats, it's using its attack stats, which isn't great because its defense is superior, and that would have made it much more of a threat. And I think that's just a good indication that it's an older Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. But this secret's different in that the background is kind of, just regular, but the armor is secret rare prism, sort of shiny, as you can see. Very interesting technique with this secret rare. I like it. And finally, our last card in this Joblot is Super Soldier Shield, Blackluster support, okay? And it's an ultra rare, cool. It's a counter trap. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated that targets a monster on the field, while you control a Blackluster Soldier monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If this card is in your graveyard, you can remove 1 spell counter from the side of the field, set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. This is MP16, so this is also from a tin or something, a mega pack, so from a tin or something. But yeah, getting rid of any kind of effect basically, whilst you have a Blackluster Soldier. I guess it's not too hard to bring Blackluster Soldiers out because there's so many types of Blackluster Soldier boss monster you can use. Negating and destroying is cool, but having that spell counter in order to bring this back, a little bit annoying. They could have removed the spell counter part, and even then it would still be not bad, just not great. But I really like the card art. It's got kind of a ghost rare look, kind of like silver effect, I guess, with this color palette. So yeah. So overall, it's nice to get a few ultra rares and secret rares, but as I said near the beginning of this video, I'm not surprised that a majority of them are super rares. But hey, they're still shiny anyway. The only real difference is they don't have the silver text. And there's an airplane flying above me, so I apologise for that. So yeah, nice additions to my ever-growing holographic collection. As I said near the beginning, the main reason I collect cards is mainly as sort of like a nostalgia thing and to expand the ever-growing library of cards, sort of showing how the game first began up to now, and just learning about all these new archetypes and such, just from like reading the texts and getting the gist of what they do. Thanks for watching, and if you didn't, then you probably watched something else. Bye.